Hey, this is Khalid Farouk Hayek, and welcome to another episode of UKU Impact in Education Show, where we help early childhood educators, childcare directors, homeschoolers, and parents of 2 to 6 years old child make an impact. Today, I have with me Damanpreet. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
Okay, let me introduce you to our audience. This is your first time. So Damanpreet, she came from India to Canada since you were 17 years old, right?
Yes.
And then you pursue your childhood education and teacher assistant since then, right? And you've been working with kids since, and I believe you have experience, over 5 years experience right now working as an ECE. And also you work with a different group from toddlers, from infants to toddlers to middle schoolers. And you have a lot of experience working with kids with a special care or special need as well, right?
Mhm.
Welcome to the show. Thank you
Thank
for
you so
coming.
much.
Okay, awesome, guys. We are going to talk today about inclusion in classroom. So that's gonna be a very interesting topic because it's like very specific, as I told you just earlier. So I would love that you give us a little bit more introduction about yourself. Then I'll start asking you the questions.
Sure. So I've been working as a ECE
Yeah.
for more than 5 years, and I feel like it was my passion that I was made for this to work with children. And I think being an ECE is being a part of their journey where they reach these certain milestones, and it just makes you excited. It just makes you happy that you're helping them out during this such a crucial process when they're growing up. And I hope that a lot of people who are in this ECE fields get to feel the same way as I get to do that. And I'm very excited to share this experience with everybody.
Awesome. It's a pleasure to have you here on the show.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me start with the first question. So what does inclusion in classroom means?
Basically, inclusion is involvement of all the children in the classroom. Inclusion is like that where children learn to accept of other people. You can say that it could be children with different backgrounds or children with special needs or children that come from different places. They're all included in one classroom together. And that's where children learn to build relationships and connections and respect each other.
Yes, and by the way, in that young age where the kids doesn't really have, they don't have enough vocabulary to express their feeling and their words. Do you find it a little bit challenging to build that bond and that inclusion between them, or as long as they start playing, just go with the flow? Like, give me
Yeah,
something.
I mean, it could be a little bit challenging for the kids as sometimes they can't express how they're feeling. But you know what what's the wonderful thing about children is that when they are with other children and they don't see the difference. It's so amazing that their heart is so pure. Like they feel the same way about other children as they feel about themselves. So they'll include them in everything. They'll be happy to help. They're always willing to help each other and open to communication and open to share that space between the classroom. And that's what really shocks me sometimes. Like children are so little and they could figure this out so early. And that's just a wonderful experience to be a part of.
Oh, absolutely. And we learn from kids so much, especially when you
Yeah,
have all of different culture. It's like a lot of learning aspect for us, right?
that is so right.
But here is another question. It's a side question, which is, do you have also some challenging where you have personality difference between, let's say, someone introvert, let's say a little girl, she's shy, she doesn't really want to play in a very loud environment where other boys are really playing and like just jumping and fighting. So do you see that challenging sometimes? Like, because I see these scenarios before. I saw them,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, that is very common in the classroom because,
Yeah.
as I said, clearly not all children are same. They have different personalities. They like different things, and there will be always few children who doesn't like to play in big groups or doesn't like to play with the boys or girls. And but I do think that encouragement during the classroom is really, really important. Like even though the child doesn't want to, but we could try always to encourage the child. And there could be some activities that we can put in the classroom that they can be together and feel like, oh, they're comfortable doing it in a certain group, and they'll be more open to it. For example, dancing. uh Let me tell you this, none of the kids hate dancing. Everybody loves dancing. So everybody's going to be on the floor no matter what, so they don't feel shy, they don't feel scared, they don't feel like they're in a big group. They just love it so much. They want to be a part of it. And then they forget that they're in this certain environment. They just want to be there just because they're having so much fun together. And that's amazing to see.
Wow. You just pointed to the perfect example, right? Singing and dancing is just to everybody deep down into our soul, right? That's amazing. Okay, let me go to the next question. So, how can inclusion be implemented in the classroom?
I mean, for inclusion, as we all know, like children follow the adults more, right? What we do, they always role, like we have to be like role model for the children, as we have to show first that we're respectful, we're caring, we're treating everybody equally, we're putting them all in the classroom together, and then we're making sure that we're not just putting them together, we're also treating them equally, and then implementing whatever we're doing together and encouraging everybody to be in the same room and try doing the same activities and same things as everybody else is doing. And that's what I feel like that's the biggest thing that plays a big role in this implementation in the classroom, as the children will learn from us, and us being a role model plays a big part in it. And they automatically think, oh, wait a minute, teacher's doing this, so I should do this. And it just comes with their, comes automatically in their mind. And it's just human behavior. Like children just so, they love to copy. And that's the best example we can be for children.
That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. So, as of my understanding, one of your techniques, you start by being involved in the play yourself first, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
then they're gonna
You
start
have to be,
joining yeah.
yeah, you have to be fully involved into it. We can't just stand back and then think that children are going to start something, or they're going to start playing together, or like doing the activity. You have to show how excited you are. You have to show how passionate you are about this activity. When you go in, you're like, whoa, like this is so exciting. I want to do this. Hey, do you want to come join? Maybe we can do it together. Like that's just one of those few things that really, you know, pops out in the classroom, that children are like, wow, that looks exciting. The teacher's super excited. I'm going to go try that. And then they're like so into it. Now they want to come join, and they're slowly taking a step. Sometimes it takes a while for them to get used to it. And they're like looking from far, and they're going to slowly walk to you. They'll stand behind you, and they'll slowly like keep looking at it. And slowly they're just going to walk beside you and touch stuff. Like, and then they give you this expression, and you're like, wow, okay, now I know you want to do this. And then you're like, come do it with me, let's do it together. So it's just the way you pursue it, and then that's how the children will follow you, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Totally agree. You know what? Earlier today, I had another call, okay, and about self-regulation. And then there is a new example that I learned I would love to share here. It's just amazing. So she was teaching me that, Khaled, sometimes when that child, they are playing a certain game and they don't want to play it. And she used an example as a dinosaur. So we have a stuffy as a dinosaur, and we are asking that the child to play, let's say, let's do coloring, for example, and then they refuse over and over and over again. So she started talking to the dinosaur, and here is the new thing that I learned today: the dinosaur refused. So she's saying to the child that it's okay to not like it from the first time,
Yeah.
right? And the dinosaur started to want to play something else and came back to the main game. And then the kids just really mimic exactly and copy the dinosaur, started
Yeah.
playing with something else, and then came to start coloring with them. This is something very new. Like, even like I have 3 kids right now, and I never did this technique that I let the stuffy or the toy
Yeah.
also does the same action like the kid,
Right. It's
not
just
just
all about
positive action. Yeah.
strategy, right? Like
It's a
sometimes we feel like because we're applying something directly and it won't work. sometimes you have to be indirect about it, and then the kids are like, there's something different in here. They're like, they're not telling me to do it, so why am I sitting here? They're thinking about it. They're like, what is going on? Maybe I should go try and see. And they're like curious, they're interested, they just want to be a part of it, and suddenly it becomes like, something else at the end.
Wow, wow. You know what? This is what makes these calls powerful, because when I receive so many different perspectives, I
Right.
learn in every call. Like I always very excited for these calls, because it's like totally different perspective. Even you have enough knowledge just by hearing this new technique, it open a new door and variety of options, right? That's amazing. Okay, let me go to the next one. Okay,
Sure.
so how can teacher help improve inclusion learning?
um
Almost
Teacher.
kind of touch base on it. Okay.
Right. Well, first, I think improving inclusion plays a big role within the classroom, as all the teachers in the classroom need to be on the same page. They have to observe and see what's going on and how can we implement this in the classroom. They can make a plan, they can get together, and then, I mean, as you know, like when children doesn't get something, they become really quiet and they become really silent and they become like slow about it. And you can tell like they don't get it, right? And then you're like, oh, okay, like this child might need a little bit extra support or extra time to, to understand this. And you're like, okay, so I might have to get on this child to help them and support them in a certain way. And there will be another child who will be super quirky, and they'll be like, yay, got this, I got this, I know it, I me, that's when like they know it. So it's like, it's all about assessing the situation and realizing where you need to put extra effort in the classroom, as there will be kids who might need always extra support than the other children, and being with them, supporting them by being just sitting with them. You don't even always have to do hands on hands. You can be like just sitting with them and saying, yeah, you got this. Sometimes they just need a boost of confidence. That's all it is. And they're doing perfectly fine. They're just not sure if they're doing it right. And then you just have to be there to support. You're like, I'm right here. I'm right here for you. If you need me, let me know. Let me know. That's all they need. They need your support. And I think that's the biggest thing in implementing and like in the inclusive environment. Like you can just be there for the children and try to focus where you need to be more and where you need to just support on the side, on the back.
Totally. You know what? I'm gonna add feedback here as a parent. Okay. Let's say you are playing with your child, and then they are alone. There is not a lot of children here to support like you did. Use the advantage of the toys. Like let the toys be the make believe
Yeah.
character who can really support. And you
Yeah.
know what? Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, like I know what you mean. I know what you mean. So there's like puppets, right? We can involve puppets in the in that area, where because some of the kids do have this specific toys they're attached to. Some of the children like
Exactly. I
dinosaurs, they
was
like
about to mention it.
turkeys. They like so you know which child likes certain things, and you can implement through it. And or sometimes they need just a comfort toy with them when they're doing something. You're like, hey, why don't you hold on to this guy, and then we can do it together. Both of you do it together. Hey, we can do all three together. How does that sound to you? Maybe you and me do it first, or you and me, Dino wants to do it first. Let's see. So kind of something like that. I understand what you mean, and that's amazing that you're like so open to it, and that's, as a parent, it, and that's wonderful. That's a great information for everybody.
Yes, totally. And I will also add one more point to it, which is as long as we are going to end up with a specific goal from the game, we don't have to be attached to that exact activity. Give another option. That's just redirect them to another option. If you are, let's say, playing that tea party, and then right now she doesn't want to play the tea party. Okay, let's like I can say that like earlier today morning I was playing with Senna. She's 3 years old, and she had a very amazing tea party with all of the stuffies here. Like okay, so we're playing, and then she just decided to be a builder, okay, in the middle of the tea party, and she want to fix and take the tools and the hammer, like each of these tools, like the toys. So basically at the end of the day, if we want to develop that personality or that emotion, right? And then we're going to have that goal. Be flexible if they resist that one activity, just go with the flow,
Yes.
right? Providing more than one option and redirecting to another option, I believe it's a key if you, as long as you are very flexible about it.
Yeah, flexibility is the key in the classroom, of course, because we can't force children to do something, at the same time, because we can just encourage them. And then if they don't want to do it, that's okay. That's okay. And we could give them a break. We could say like, "Hey, why don't we just go drink some water? Why don't we just take a break from here and go 5 minutes and play with this and come back and see how we feel about it?" You know? And it's just all about adjusting and then all about implementing it according to children's needs.
I totally agree. Wow, that's awesome. Okay, let me go to the next question. So, how can we help children with a special need to feel inclusive?
Well, in this area, I feel like teachers really need to closely observe and be reflective about what's going in the classroom, as there can be a bunch of strategies used in the classroom to help children feel inclusive in the classroom. But the important thing is you have to really understand the child's need first and then see where they're comfortable in the classroom. We can't just, you know, like put everything on them and say like, oh, they're going to do this. But then we have to see how they feel and then support their feelings first. That comes first. And then we can support them through the activity. Because if they're not feeling comfortable, if they're not feeling okay in a certain area or certain activity that we're doing, we can't make them feel like they're inclusive in the classroom because they're not comfortable in the first place. So what we can do is we can try to remind them about transitions. Don't just give them a sudden shock. So let's for say what I like to do is try visuals with the children, right? So we can make these little schedule visuals. You start from the day when the child comes in the morning. You can just start off by showing that visual, like the schedule for the day. Say like, oh, we're gonna do bathrooming, we're gonna do snack, we're gonna do circle, then we're gonna go to art. So they have an idea in their mind that they're going to do this throughout the day. So it's not a sudden shock to them. So they're not feeling like, oh my God, like this is what's happening to me right away, because we're saying, oh, let's go, let's go, let's go. Because that's not the best way we can deal with this, because they need some time to process and soak it in. And what we can do is we can give them like constant reminders. So we're doing circle now, and 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes, we're gonna move to bathroom. 5 more minutes, show them the time. Make sure you're constantly using your visual, and that's really, really important. And then they know like we're also telling the class in general, but we're also showing the visuals so they feel comfortable, so they feel like they know what's happening next. So they're not in the dark.
Wow, I'm just like this is also, I learned a lot these calls. Okay, so this is my first time I see that you are showing the visual schedule beforehand from the very beginning, regardless the age.
Yeah. And it can also, not only with children with special needs, it can also be shown to the
Totally,
children. Yeah,
totally.
like there are children who are a little bit anxious in the room, they're a little bit shy. It takes a little bit of time for transitions. So you can also apply that to them as well. It's the best way to deal with the transition and to help ease their anxiety and to help them feel comfortable, as they already have a heads up and if they already have an idea that what's coming next. So it's not sudden, it's not a shock to them, right? And that's very helpful. Even as adults, I feel like we do feel anxious a lot of times, like what's coming next, right? We have this schedule set up and we have this visual set up in the classroom. We could even set up in the circle time, like we could tell all the children in general and say like, oh, so we're doing this, what comes next? Because it's mostly the schedule is mostly similar every day, but you just need to remind the children so they kind of start to remember what's going to happen next after this. So it's just the best way to implement that in the classroom in the circle time, because then they know what's happening next.
Well, taking it to the next level with the parents, I can tell you from experience that majority of parents, they do the schedule, they beforehand, they just reveal it to the kids in almost two scenarios or two situations. Before nap time, they're just gonna tell them about the nap time is coming, right? Or during the party training. But the point is, if we take that and then we apply it to almost everything during the day from the very beginning, I believe that's going to make a lot of a change, because we don't do that as parents. We just go with the flow. But showing a schedule is this is a new technique I would love to try.
Yeah, that's amazing, because you can also try to do is there's another way of doing it, because sometimes children like to do check marks. So you can make the schedule and put check marks on the side. So once you finish one thing activity, you can ask the child to check mark, and then ask them, oh, see, we did this. So what comes next? And they'll look at it and they'll have a visual on the side, and it's also like written. And then they can do a check mark. They're like, oh, this is coming next. I'm excited to do check mark this one. So right, like this is so much fun. It becomes so much fun.
That's amazing. You just gave me an idea, like for our designers, that we can create a check mark schedule.
Right.
Okay. Wow. This is just
Especially
so
for the
amazing.
children who hasn't started writing yet, who haven't got the penmanship yet. They're trying to learn. They're trying to work on their fine motor skills, right? So that's the best way to implement in the classroom, because they're starting to still hold on to the pencil, and then they're learning how to do this, and they love it. They just love it,
It's just so easy to just do that check mark.
Right.
Wow. You know what? I would love that inside the community. Okay. You just joined our community, and it's our honor to have you here. Inside the community, share some of few points that it's come as a repetitive inside your schedule. So we create a design for it, and then we share it with you, and we get your feedback. I would love to create something like that about it.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I will always, this is my own perspective always. I always keep blank areas where you can fill whatever you want, right? If we have, let's say, different type of activities that coming up, the circle time and all of these stuff, if we have them on separate paper and then you cut them as an ECE or as a parent and you put them near to the check mark, you just basically mix unlimited possibilities, whatever you want.
Of course, because
Wow,
sometimes you have to change some things.
That's a great idea. Oh my God. I'm gonna forward it to our design team. Okay. Awesome. Okay, let's go to the next question. Okay. So children ask a lot of questions. Okay, like why him, her, has a teacher with them all the time, or why he or she is getting special attention. And I can see that in my kids. Sadly, this has happened almost a lot, but like it's a funny situation. Whenever we compliment, let's say Lema, Farouk, my son, he said, "Oh, why her?" And the same. So I like the answer always like, if I'm complimenting her, that's not makes you bad. Like it doesn't make you bad, right? But it seems like that feeling of jealousy, or I don't know if it's just maybe it's mix of different feelings together, right?
Yes.
But they want to be the center of attention.
They want to know like why we're doing this, why we're supporting somebody else extra than them, But it's all about explaining how we explain that to children. We really have to start from early age and try to explain them like it's really, really important to treat everybody equally and respectfully. But we also have to tell them like, oh yeah, it's okay. It's okay to feel that way. And I would feel that way too. But you know what? Sometimes some of us need extra help, and then teachers here to help everybody. But if you do need extra help, I'm here for you too. It's not only for this person, so it's for you too. But I do see that you're doing great, and then you can do it on your own, and you're doing so good at this. And maybe you can come help with a friend. You can come be a helper. I can just step back, and you can be the leader here. You can come follow, and the other children can come follow and see what you're doing, and then you can show them how to do it. That makes them feel that they're important as well as the other children, as they know that they can play a part in this together.
Oh my God, the way you just to present it, it just will give them a boost. Like it's a very nice way that you present it. I should memorize that.
Because I think for children, it is all about power struggle. They really look for that. They want to have this power. But then you also have to think, how can you give them this power? You can give this power in a positive way where they can implement this in the classroom. as we all know that there are children who might need some support, but you can ask children to be that extra support and extra help so that they can see that they can be a great helper, and they're also showing empathy at the same time. You know, it works both ways. It's, if you see this happening in the classroom, it's a wonderful experience to see. They are so kind, they're so genuine about what they're doing, they're ready to help, and they're always ready to be there for the other child. The opportunity they get to show, be a leader there, and then help, it's amazing. Like, for example, like when we go outside or something, right, we do struggle with some of the children when they're like a little bit slow, they to get dressed, and then there are children who are super fast, and they always say, why do I have to wait, why do I have to sit here, why that person not getting ready. Just like, it's like you have to put it positive way. You can't just be like, oh yeah, that person's taking time. So you what you can do is, what I always do in this situation is I always tell the child, hey, you got ready super fast. It looks like you can be a leader today, and I do see you can be a great leader in future. So how about you come here, you stand in front of the line, and you wait for everybody to stand in the line, and you can direct everybody to be in the line and count how many friends we have, including the teachers. And they do amazing.
Oh my
Believe me when
god.
I say it, they
Oh
do
my god.
amazing. They are so wonderful at their job that the teacher doesn't have to do it. The teacher just stand at the back and then just watch what's happening. It's a wonderful experience to be a part of. As you know, in future they can be great leaders. You never know.
Wow. Wow. You know what? I love listening to real life examples. It will like just almost give you the full journey if a similar situation happened with us. Like, oh my God, the way, by the way, this is our first call, and I love the way you are explaining the situation and then you attaching it to that life example. I believe this is where the impact comes from. Okay,
Mhm.
because you already showing the experience, you already show all of that struggle that you went through, and you just bridge the gap with that story, and that's so amazing, so powerful. Okay, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. Okay, let me go to the next question, if you may. What are the issues you face during inclusion as a teacher?
Yeah, so there are a few things that can be a little bit challenging for the teachers in the classroom. For example, when children doesn't want to join a certain circle time or doesn't want to do an activity, children who are like nonverbal or having a hard time expressing their feelings could leave a big impact on them as they get very frustrated, they get very angry, they could end up not using their hands, gently. They could try to hit you, or they could just throw the books away and something like that. I think that's a lot because they're having a hard time expressing their feelings. And I feel like in this, the teacher needs to be a great support in the classroom, as it will happen. And if you have seen, if you have worked with a child for a while and you have observed this in your classroom, the best way to deal with this, to just support the child by encouraging them to use their gentle hands, a constant reminder throughout the room. And like, or asking them, oh, do you want to go drink some water, or do you want to take a break, let's go bathroom for 5 minutes, let's just walk outside. Or how about we take 2 minutes, show them the watch, maybe take a timer, use a timer. That's the best way, because then they know, like, oh, this is the only time we get out of this certain activity or certain area, because we need some space, we need some time to process it. Or and then that just timer goes buzz, and you're like, time to go, time to go. And they're very clear, they know that this is going to happen, and you just have to be very clear what you're doing at the same time. Another thing that happens is usually children gets very they get very frustrated with the noise, because the preschool or the infant toddler room could be super, super loud at some point, and it could be a lot of challenge for the child and for the teachers as they try to run out of the classroom, and you're trying to stop them. And that's when I know that I've seen this a lot. When I started working in this, I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to bring the child back in the room? I can't just tell a child to go in. Like, that's just not you know how it works. I can't force the child. So what I have found in this was, I thought like, oh, it's maybe the noise, right? So we got this those noise canceling headphones, you know, so we can use that. And when, especially when you're doing activity, you don't need to like a lot of you don't need to listen to a lot of people at the same time when you're doing art or coloring or whatever, and then you think the child's having a hard time, put on some noise canceling headphones. It's great, because then they just cancel the whole noise for them, and they can focus, they can really focus. And the children with ADHD have hard time sitting, like sometimes, or have hard time holding the pencil. You could do is, you know, those movable chairs that you can get, because they're very fidgety, and that's the way you can like work on this, or provide a pencil. So what we did with one of the children that I worked with, they were having a hard time holding the pencil because it was like slipping, and you know, it was very annoying. So we put a rubber band around it. You know, rubber band, when you wrap it around, it's not slippery. If you have tried ever, I don't know if you get a chance to try it. Like,
I already did exactly the same thing. Yeah.
you did. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's the best way, like to, you know, like to help them not get frustrated at that point. And I think there's always like something, there's always like different strategies that you can use the classroom. But yeah, of course, there will be challenges that will come up with inclusion. You can't always think that it's going to be smooth and easy. And sometimes you do have to take the child outside and give them some break and room, because we as adults sometimes also ask for room and time, right? We have to be really open to what the child's needs are, instead of just focusing on the activity, on the things we're doing at the same time. We have to be really flexible with it.
Wow. You know what? This noise cancellation headset, it's just a new technique. And honestly, it happened a lot. Like you can absolutely easily see the kids frustrated, but if you didn't relate that to the noise, you're not gonna fix the issue. They're gonna keep running, and you don't know why, right? But this is a new technique that I love. And basically, the noise cancellation is these big headset that you put on, and there is no music in them. It's just like very holding the ear, very calm way that it's canceling everything, right?
Right. Yeah.
Oh my
I have
god.
also tried that on and see how it works, because I was like, I don't know, like, you know, because you can't tell unless you experience it yourself. And I do feel the same way sometimes when I go in like crowded places. I kind of feel like the noise is kind of, you know, triggering me. So I feel like I also put headphones in, and that just helps me. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute, that's gonna help a child for sure if it helps
Wow.
me.
Wow. We have this game that it came with the noise cancellation that we can start talking and then they can't hear us, but they have to
Right.
figure it out. I will use it one day and I'll see, and I'll let you know my feedback. Absolutely, I love it.
Okay.
This is a new thing that I learned. Wow, wow, this is amazing. And by the way, that's the rubber around the pen. It's like it's a very nice because you can control how thick it is, how wide it is. So I believe that's gonna help a lot, especially like I would suggest to everybody who didn't try it and they start having frustration, kids frustrated with holding the pen because they're still new to that. Try it. Absolutely, it's gonna make a different feeling. And by the way, I believe I went one day to the dollar store and I purchased different type of pens that have some of them have squeezing
Oh
part of it,
yeah.
and you see the fluid. Like
It's
sometimes
more sensory, right? And then
totally,
you can
totally.
tell, and it's more visual than sensory at the same time. So they can focus on that more of like other things happening in the room.
Totally. And you can see them like you see the sparkle inside it, and it's some type of fluid,
Yeah,
and then
we
they
have
just
so many resources out there
connect
now.
with that absolutely tool. It's just so amazing. Okay, wow, I love these life examples today. So many of them, and keep them coming. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Okay, let's go to the next one. So, how can we help children to adjust in the classroom?
Yeah, I think we're pretty much base touched on all of them
Almost
here.
covered it. We almost
Yes,
covered it.
so I would
Yeah.
tell you a little
Maybe if
bit.
you have
So
another example, yeah,
right. So
yeah.
we did like visuals, and as I said about the chair, we could do something about the furniture, because sometimes children doesn't want to sit straight. And I don't know what you call that chair. I'm totally skip my mind right now. So you know those chairs were like movable. They're like,
Yes, yeah.
yeah. So you can provide those chairs, and in schools they're actually available. And then they have like couple of them on the side just in case anybody needs them. And then as we talked about those pencils, but then I also feel like there should be more breaks for children during the whole routines and everything, because it could be very hard to sit and focus at the same time. So constant breaks in between. It doesn't have to be water break. It doesn't have to be bathroom break. It could be a short music break, just 1 minute, short body movement or body break activity. So I remember when when I was working in school. So what we did was the teachers when we were doing activity and children were like so down, they were like, "Oh no, I don't want to do this," and then you know how they feel sometimes. And then the teacher comes up with this idea. She goes like, "Hey, like it seems like everybody is just going down today. What's happening? Is it Monday?" And then everybody's like, "Oh yeah," they're like so tired. And so teacher is like, "Okay, everybody, put down your pencils. Let's come to close to the screen," and everybody just shows up there, and they're like, "Let's do a 2 minute body break activity." So it doesn't even take a whole lot of time, just 2 minutes. And she just plays this big like a song on the screen. It's like a Zumba dance, right? It's a fun Zumba dance, and kids are like having so much fun. It's a blast, and they get this break, they get the energy out, and they're back energized, going back to the activities. And when after that 2 minutes, they go back, they're like all charged up. I'm like, wow, like that's what I'm gonna do when, that's what happened to my classroom. And that's what I do still. And then when I see this happening, I'm like, I'm gonna leave this right here. I want my children to be happy about it, not just do it because they have to do it. So we leave everything in between. I'm like, what song do you want? So this the popular one's a freeze dance, because it gets the adrenaline like running in them. They're like, okay, let's do freeze dance. They're like freezing in different spots and like so cool. And I think these are the few things that just really helps everybody to adjust in the classroom and blend in fast.
I totally agree. You know what? Never underestimate the power of singing and dancing. It can be your best friend at this situation. Like that,
They
just
are. They sure are. You have to know a lot of songs.
awesome. Yeah, I know as a feedback. I already touched base with this one on another call, but I'm gonna share it here as well. Based on the feedback we received from ECEs and parents during the past couple months, we the most videos we made in our platform are singing and dancing, which is category we call it time to dance, because the kids are just gonna dance, right? Like everybody love to dance, like even yourself. Like I saw so many kids when I put that song, so I do like the testing and see how the reaction, regardless the age, immediately the kids get into it. Even if they don't know the words, they just get into it and they follow the beat and they follow the kids, how they're dancing, how they're freezing, all of that thing.
The
It's just
rhythm, yeah,
amazing.
the movement. It's just because at the same time there's so many things happening. It's sensory, it's more like music and movement, your body, and there's like bunch of things at the same time, and it's a rush. It's a rush to the children.
Totally, totally. I remember I used to see Lema, my daughter. She is really dancing and loving and try to memorize a Chinese song that she has nothing, that she don't understand any word from it. But the beat is very nice. So she just follow it, right? She just want to do it, right? So it's just so amazing how dancing, it's really helpful in the classroom, honestly. But here is a side question from me. When you have a child with a special need, okay, and then you give them that attention or that extra care just because they really need it, do you have the situation where the other kids start pretending they're sick, they start pretending they're having another issue, so they get that extra attention? This is the
Yeah.
first part. Okay,
Yes,
I'll ask
yes.
my other question after.
I
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's I think we usually call it like getting like negative attention,
Negative.
because they start to like cry on small things. They start to get like frustrated on small things. I
or,
don't
or,
want to do
pre-
this. I don't want to do this.
or pretending there's something they're not.
Right, right. And then they're like, I want that teacher, and specifically that teacher. You know, they don't want to listen to anybody else, but they're like, I want that teacher. For example, me, they're like, I want Daman, I want teacher Daman. I don't want to be with anybody right now. But I do think it's just all about children wanting extra attention, and that's okay. It is okay. because children sometimes do need that, because sometimes they're going through things, or they're just feeling a little, sad, or they're just not feeling well, or it could be anything, or they just want attention. Attention's okay. Attention's okay. Everybody should get attention. So here, I feel like it's okay. It's okay to feel that way, but we do experience this a lot in the classroom, like a
But
lot.
you acknowledge the fact to them that you are not, let's say, when they pretend they are sick, for example, out of nowhere, oh, my hand is hurting, let's say, for example, and they need that attention. You acknowledge, you show them the fact that you're not hurt, but I'm here for you.
Yeah.
Like
So
you, yeah.
what I do in this case is I have seen a lot of children doing that when they need attention. So they go like, oh, this hurts, I fell, and then I go to them, I'm like, can I see? And then I like usually look at them like, oh no, must hurt a lot. Okay, so let's see what I can do about it. I have an idea. I know what we can do. And it's like tickle them. And they're like all bursting out in like laughter. Like, I said, where did it go now? Did I heal it? And I just usually like, or else I do is I'm gonna blow on it. It's gonna help you heal super fast, because you know what? I have superpowers. And then I'm just gonna blow it. And they're like laughing, giggling, because they know, they're fine. And then they automatically just, it's funny because you interact in the same way. But if you do say no to them and you're like, you're not hurt, you're fine. It's just, I feel like they kind of feel like, oh, you're not understanding their feelings, and you're not recognizing, and then you're not there to help. But then you have to just say in like, you have to say indirectly to them, you're fine. So yeah, you're fine, but indirectly, just go indirectly. And they're happy about it. And they're like, see, I told you you're gonna be okay. Now we're okay. I know you can do this, and I believe in you. You're super strong. Show me how you do this. And they start to show you, and they're like, yeah, here you go, I got you. And then we're just like, then you can finally move to a different spot if you need to help somebody else. And this is all about how you implement that, in the classroom.
For each one of them at a time, individually.
Right.
So you can't spread that attention to all of them, right?
Right.
Wow. Okay. Here is the other part of my question, which is where that child, they need extra attention. Okay. And they're just, let's say, leaving the room once, twice, to the point it's kinda ruined your plan, right? For whatever activities you are doing.
Mhm.
Here, do you guys normally have an assistant that can assist with that, or you just basically change the entire plan for the next, let's say, two activities based on make everybody happy and bring that child back into the atmosphere?
Yeah. So for this, I think we always have enough staff to support every child. Yeah. So it's like if there's an activity going on, most of the children will be busy in it, right? So we do always have extra set of hands, or even if we don't, we try to have that extra set of hands available for that child, because we know at this time that child needs extra support. That child needs extra attention, because there's been something going on with that child. So I do like to tell if I do have an extra teacher, to just go and help support the child. And if it works out, it's great, because sometimes it does work out when the teacher goes talk and sit with the child and say like, hey, what's wrong? I see you're sad. I see you don't want to be there. Like, what, if you want to talk about it? Even if you don't want to talk, let's read a book. How about we go sit down and read a book, together?
Redirect them. Yeah. Redirect
Right.
them. Yeah.
And if it works, that's fine. If it doesn't work, then what we try to do is we try to ask the child, we give them choices. So we give them choices that we give them two different choices. One is my choice, one is their choice. So they literally have no choice. But you give them a choice that you want them to do. So choice between coloring or reading a book. It's a very simple choice. It's not something that's extra. That doesn't get them out of the room, right? You can ask them to sit on the side for 5 minutes and pick this choice. So what they can do is pick this or that. They don't have a third choice. So they don't have a choice to go leave the room. So they're going to pick something that they like, and they pick and they sit. Or you can say like, sit beside me. That's it. Sometimes a child doesn't need you to talk to them. All they need is just to sit beside them and support them. What I do is I'm like, sit with me. Let's do it together. We can all do it together. It's fine. I'm okay with it. If you're okay with it, if you feel better like this, I want to be here just to help you, and I will be here to help you. If you need me, you let me know. Just assurance, just to make them feel like they're cared for. They are also, their feelings are valid, and they could feel that way, and it's okay to feel that way.
I totally agree. Wow, I totally agree. Okay, I have one more question, and then we go to action points, if you may. Okay, how can we see the difference that children feel included in the classroom?
So for that, I always say observe, all the time. Observation is big, plays a big role in this, as you can, when you're observing, you can see what's happening in the room. What are the changes? What are the positive changes? What are the things we can change? What are the strategies we can use? We can put out a checklist for this. We can set up a checklist saying, oh, like this activity, this thing worked, so we put a check mark. And it's like a documentation, but also a checklist, so because we can look at it after, even if you're not there, the other teacher, whoever's going to come cover for you, or other teachers who are in the classroom, you have a documentation for this, and you have an idea what works, what doesn't work, and you can change it. You can get together, talk about the ideas, and figure out different strategies that everybody can offer, and then everybody can talk about this and put it together, and and implement that in the classroom.
Well, you know what? You just touched base exactly to a very important aspect or cores that we are or pillars, let's call it, that we do in inside UKU community. Is the reason we add also parent to our ECE community is because when you share that strategy that really worked out and then take it and extend it to the house and they do it over there, can you imagine how easy right now their life gonna be, and how we ease all of that on the children themselves? Like, we just emotionally it's going to be very easy, and physically with playing it's going to be very, very powerful and impactful to
Yeah,
them.
I also do understand that parents have very less resources to this, and that's being an ACE, we should really share like what's going on in the throughout the day, what are the things we worked on, what are the things we're focusing, what are the goals we're focusing at the same time. And that's what I like to do all the time. So I've been working with this child with autism spectrum disorder for now a few months. And when I started, the child was having a little bit of hard time with using their words, or like dressing up, like self-helping skills and stuff. So I made these few small goals for them, and I talked to mom and daddy, and I talked to them saying like, hey, like this is what I'm working on, and I really want you guys to work on with me, so as we're on the same page, and I really want this to work together. And it really made a difference, and parents were so supportive about this, and I share every bits and details of the day, and they love it because they know that um, i'm I'm trying to implement whatever I'm telling. I'm not just saying it, I'm trying to implement it throughout the day. And they do see a difference when they come to me and they're like, oh, this is the first time I hear him saying hi. And I was like, okay, like he says hi to me all the time. Like it's a big deal as a parent and as a teacher, when you get to reach to this milestone. It's a huge achievement, and saying names is a big part in this, and responding to names is a big part of this. So we reached like so many goals within these few months, and I'm so glad that I get to work with the parent together to put it all, in this my checklist that I had, all the goals that I set for.
I'm so happy to hear that. I didn't see, honestly, I don't see that in a lot of other childcare centers, where like I always hear frustration from ECEs. They said, I barely have some time, let's say a few minutes each day, sometimes only 2 minutes when they pick up the kids or drop them off, to tell
Yeah.
them about all of that. But when you are really connected with them, honestly, the end result, let's talk about the benefits right away. If the child can, if you can extend the activity and all of that in their development from the class to the house, that is the ultimate impact. That is so powerful, and
Right.
that's what's gonna change so much, right? We
And they
cannot
bring
just
it home.
separate them. We
Yeah.
cannot just separate them. When you get also feedback from parents and you continue in the class, this is where the real impact gonna last for longer and gonna be really deep.
Yes, of course. And if you're not able to have this open communication with the parents, it is quite hard because you don't know what's happening at home and they don't know what's happening in the class, and you can't be on the same page, and it will be a lot of frustrated, like for the child too, because there's different things happening at the different environments. You have to make sure that it's the same thing as home and same thing at school, right?
Totally. By the way, do you use I'm done with my question, but aside the question, do you use an app to communicate with them, or you just talk to them when
No,
they?
so what I try to do is I usually try to talk to the parent by the end of the day, because I feel like that's when they have more time as they're coming back from work or whatever. And I do ask ahead of it. And if they don't seem to have time, what I try to do is I try to talk to the parents and set up a meeting ahead of time.
Schedule.
Yeah, so you can schedule it and you can ask them, hey, like, if you have some time, we can set up a meeting or even a phone meeting. You don't have to be in person. You can just talk. I sometimes call a parent and like I ask mom, I'm like, can we like chat for a little bit, like or I can call you, and she's pretty good about it. She's very open to it, and then we do talk about it and on the phone, and I'm like, don't you worry about this. We're making sure that this is happening in the room. So it's amazing that the parent also needs to be pretty open to it.
Absolutely, because this is the end result that they really like to see, right?
Right.
Wow,
100%.
that's awesome. Well, thank you so much. Let's wrap up this phone call by some action points.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I feel like inclusion in classroom, for that, there are a few things that plays a big role in this. That could be making the indoor and outdoor environment safe and you know uh, safe and like active for the children, as you have to make sure that there's children with different needs and different backgrounds, so you have to make it equal for them, and you have to check your surroundings, and you also have to talk with your teachers to have enough resources. There needs to be a lot of sensory play, as there's going to be a lot of distractions and a lot of understanding between children, but where they have to take a break, and then you have to give them a break. So sensory plays a big role, and teaching children to develop empathy and understanding other children's aspects, as they could feel a little bit down, or they could feel a little bit sad because somebody else is getting attention, to making sure that we tell them that it's okay to feel that way, and then we're here to support each and every child in the same way as we're doing to you and then the other child. And
Totally. This is very important. It will take time, but this is very important and very powerful for on the long term. By the way.
yeah, and we need to be really open to like new ideas and new resources that come up to our road. Like we have to be always communicating with each other. Teachers always, I always feel like communication is the best key, because if they don't talk, you can't come up with new things. You're going to have the same things in your mind, right? Once you start talking, communicating, there's always new ideas popping up, and then everybody's just together. There's the huge plan at the end, and like observation and learning is a big one, because you learn from your mistakes. You learn sometimes some things doesn't matter, and I mean sometimes some things doesn't work, and then you have to learn from it and try to implement something that's different than this, and then just learn. Like learning is a big aspect. Learning from children, learning from what you do, learning what doesn't work, and trying to upgrade it, trying to ask for feedbacks from parents, try to ask feedbacks from the other teachers, and providing enough space and room for them. Don't just always be on children. Like try to give them some room and just stay at the back sometimes, and then give them some space to understand everything. So yeah, these are the few things I think that's really
That's
important.
absolutely great. You know what? If we put these in action, that's gonna be like just phenomenal. Just give it time and be consistent with it, and that will make a lot of change in their personality and behavior. Absolutely, and emotional development as well.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming here today. It's an honor to have you here on the show. Uh, it's like just so good today. Is like the unique thing about this call is you give us so many life examples, and I really love all of this about it.
Thank
So
you
thank you
so
again.
much for having me. Thank you.
You are welcome. Thank you. Okay, guys, this is Khalid Farouk Hayek, your host at UKU Impacting Education Show. And today's topic was all about inclusion in classroom. And until next time, make your kids' life a masterpiece. Cheers. Bye for now.